The Grenlec Debates, powering bright ideas.
You are watching the 10th season of the Grenlec Debates. Thank you for joining us. As you watch, please bear in mind that schools randomly pick their topics, opponents, and positions. Debate teams are challenged to convince the judges, regardless of their personal beliefs. The theme for the quarterfinals is public health and safety. Both areas continue to come under increasing focus as our nation endeavors to meet its development goals. I am Eric Williams, and I'm honored to be your chairperson. I call this House to order. The motion, be it resolved that parking on public roads in Grenada is a public safety hazard and should be banned. For the proposition, Hillsborough Secondary. For the opposition, Grenada Christian Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, the first speaker for the proposition.
We propose the motion, be it resolved, that parking on public roads in Grenada is a public safety hazard and should be banned. We define terms: Cambridge Dictionary, parking, leaving a vehicle in a particular place for a period of time. Safety hazard, something that is dangerous and likely to cause damage. Merriam-Webster Dictionary, ban, to prohibit, especially by legal means. Public, affecting all people or the whole area of a nation or state. Oregon Legal Glossary, public road or on street, a road over which the public has a right of use, that is a matter of public record. I will show that because of the nature of roads in Grenada, parking on public roads is a safety hazard. Our second speaker will explain why a ban on parking on public roads is necessary. Honorable Chair, we assert bans for on-street parking has been in process since the issuing of the official highway code in 1935. In its updated version, Rule 243 outlined bans on vehicles opposite or within 10 meters of junction, at or near a bus stop, in front of a school, private or emergency exit, to name a few. Further, Rule 244 states, and I quote, "You must not park partially or wholly on a pavement," unquote. All these simply because the government has come to realize the hazardous nature of such parking to the safety and convenience of the public. So, it is no big thing to press forward the process in areas that now need attention. However, the Commissioner of Police can lift any bans to facilitate a specific event. Honorable Chair, the decision of type of parking allowed on any street must be based on factors such as the width of the road, volume and type of traffic, and road classification. According to Grenada Today 2015, streets in the Caribbean, which includes Grenada, were constructed for donkey carts and horse-drawn carriages, width sufficient to take our former colonial rulers to their destination. The volume of roads in Grenada today, the volume of vehicles in size, shape, and quantity on our roads today is a far cry from donkey carts and horse-drawn buggies. CRVs, Hummers, X-Trails, cars, heavy-duty trucks vie for road space, which apart from being paved or unpaved, remain virtually the same. According to Traffic Officer Jeremiah, average size of streets, 17 to 18 feet, even less in villages, narrow streets, wider vehicles, a public safety hazard, accidents begging to happen. Country Report.org 2017 informs of the nature of Grenada's road, paved and unpaved, mostly narrow, blind corners, few sidewalks, cars rival with pedestrians for road space. Something wrong somehow. Competition tight, Honorable Chair. Opponents may well suggest a fix by simply saying, expand the road. But the truth of the matter here is that private properties, shops, offices, and garages hog the roads so tightly they create a stalemate. Years of inadequate planning have for years contributed to the ineffective traffic management, boils down to a public safety hazard. Consider this. The estimation is that between 2006 and 2010, at least 30,000 vehicles, used and new, small and large, private and heavy duty, have entered Grenada. Figures from the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO 2012. 7 years down the road, brings us to 2017 with an estimation of almost double that figure. Make it worse, PAHO 2012 in an article, Health in the Americas, states, and I quote, "There is no organized road safety program within the Ministry of Health," unquote. None for this growing problem. If there is no organized road safety program to combat the growing public safety hazard of parking on public roads in Grenada, then the existing unorganized road safety, whatever you call it, compounds our argument and makes it even more resounding. Parking on public roads in Grenada is a public safety hazard. Ban it.
Let's welcome the first speaker for the opposition.
Parking is an essential component of the transport system. Vehicles must park at every destination. A typical automobile is parked 23 hours of each day and uses several parking spaces each week. Parking convenience affects the ease of reaching destination and therefore affects overall accessibility. Victoria Transport Board, 2016. Good afternoon all. My task here is to enlighten you on the current road traffic situations in Grenada and explicitly oppose the moot. Be it resolved that parking on public roads in Grenada is a public safety hazard and should be banned. We ardently refute our proposition's definition and humbly submit our own. According to the Grenada Road Traffic Act 1990, a parked vehicle is a vehicle left stationary by a driver or the person in charge thereof in any place elsewhere than in a garage. Public roads, according to federal regulation, refer to any road or street that is under the jurisdiction of and maintained by a public authority and open to public travel. The Canadian Centre for Occupational Health and Safety notes that a hazard is any source of potential damage, harm, or adverse health effects on something or someone. Public safety refers to the welfare and protection of the general public, usually expressed as a government responsibility handled by a Department of Public Safety, uslegal.com. As defined by Merriam-Webster's dictionary, should refers to a compulsory action, and to ban means to prohibit the use of. For the purposes of these debates, references to Grenada point to the Tri-Island state located 12 degrees north and 61 degrees west, and which has an overall area of 133 square miles. Honorable Chair, my colleagues and I don't downplay that illegal parking can possibly cause hazard. To do so would be heartless and proves us ignorant of the rules in the UK Highway Code, which Grenada follows. We, however, ascribe to this quote, which stresses that life and its many decisions is about balance. I quote, "Finding common ground with other people does not mean finding absolute agreement. Common ground is shareable ground whose boundaries are marked by a range of actions that all can live with," unquote. Based on this quote by John Graham, we firmly believe that banning parking on public roads can never be the best solution to removing parking-related hazard. Instead, the ramifications of these extreme actions are far-reaching and even detrimental to the same public safety we are endeavoring to preserve. We therefore restate the moot as follows. Be it resolved that parking on public roads may potentially cause harm and as such must be properly regulated and laws enforced. According to the Ministry of Work, major roads, which are mainly found in towns, are 20 feet in size. Minor roads range from 12 to 15 feet in size. In short, the majority of our roads can accommodate dual lane traffic. Statistics from the Ministry of Finance reveal that for the last decade, 2,000 vehicles have been imported in Grenada annually, leaving the approximate vehicle total in Grenada at a staggering 20,000. Furthermore, government car parks are non-existent, especially in high-traffic areas like in towns. Considering the statistics, how would it be possible to ensure that no vehicle is parked on any public road anywhere across our Tri-Island state? Impossible to do without sacrificing your people's well-being. The RGPF noted that parking concerns are focused in towns and several hotspot areas. These include around supermarkets and selected roundabouts and intersections across town. Regulation of parking, such as the introduction of controlled parking zones, parking schemes which limit when persons park in selected areas, use of parking marshals, and proper road markings. The RGPF further states that of all fatalities and morbidities resulting from the road accidents, the major causes were inexperience, slippery surfaces, drunk drivers, spillage from concrete trucks, and fallen gravels. In 2015, of the 1,252 accidents which occurred, of the 2,053 in 2016, parking was not a direct or indirect result of one. 0% was a result of parking. All of the previous points prove that parking is none but a trivial issue, which can be solved through the simple process of parking regulation and management. And prohibiting parking on public roads will create more problems than solve. My second speaker will elaborate on the problems that can arise from banning and offer alternatives. I thank you.
The second speaker for the proposition will continue his team's case.
Afternoon all, our definition stands. Honorable Chair, with more and larger vehicles on the road comes a need to provide mobility facility as every car needs a place to park. A key issue. Sustainable Urban Transport Project 2011 confirms, and I quote, cars are parked an average 23 hours per day, unquote. A parking space is needed at every trip's end. A parked car utilizes approximately 9 feet, the same in maneuvering space. Honorable Chair, a huge amount where space is limited. Clearly, cars get more space to park than humans to live in, reducing visibility of oncoming vehicles for both drivers and pedestrians, forcing pedestrians to walk in the road with no proper footpaths provided, endangering lives, blocking and narrowing streets to one lane, says Sergeant Smith, Traffic Department, Royal Grenada Police Force. Judges, consider a life and death situation. Fire, health. Bird and Sisio Piku 2006 confirm, and I quote, the reduction of the available lanes of a road to accommodate on-street parking is the chief factor in road reducing capacity. On-street parking maneuvers causes extensive delays. Evidence on street, Carenage, Young, Lucas, St. John's, Hillsborough, and Halifax, right before our very eyes, hazardous and unsafe. Inconsiderate and illegal parking is another problem in our hand. In a glaring article, Grenada Informer, January 13, 2017, under the title, Are there still sidewalks in town? A young woman worried that the streets of St. George's is becoming more of a risk for pedestrians. While walking along the sidewalks on Granby Street, a car approached honking its horn at her to indicate he wanted a space to park. Where? On the pavement. Parking on public roads in Grenada is a public safety hazard and should be banned. The craze, it seems, is to park every and anywhere, and we must nip it in the bud. The list goes on. Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority Operation Manager Mr. Neptune, in an interview October 17, 2017, reported difficulties in collecting garbage due to vehicles parking over drains. Honorable Chair, due to unabiding parking behaviors, 265 parking tickets were issued in 2016. To date, staggering 326. Something seriously has to be done. Narrow streets, a prime problem. In 2015, police reported an 8 feet wide fire truck collided with a parked vehicle, Main Street, Hillsborough, Carriacou, trying to maneuver itself in a too narrow space. Parked vehicles holding up even emergency vehicles. In Mundelein, Chicago, 2016, officials proposed a 24-hour parking ban on narrow streets. Under the new proposal, parking unallowed any time of the day on streets less than 20 feet wide. They termed it a public safety standard. To follow this public safety standard, there would be no vehicles parked on our streets. After stating our case, we recommend that parking be used as a demand management tool by erecting appropriate no parking restriction signs, installing physical devices such as bollards. Investors, businesses build level parking lots and charge accordingly. Building codes of houses should now stipulate the possession of a drive or parkway. Drivers, public roads, but your private car, put it in your yard. I thank you.
Presenting the second speaker for the opposition.
Good afternoon all. Once again, we refute the proponents' definitions and stand resolute by our own. Banning parking on public roads does not solve parking-related hazards, but in actuality can exacerbate them. Firstly, removing parking from the street will mandate the construction of numerous parking facilities. Don't it always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They've paid paradise and put up a parking lot. Words from a powerful song by Counting Crows, which underscores the environmental consequences of building major structures to accommodate parking. Paving large areas of parking utilizes valuable green space and the ecological, historic, and cultural resources. Furthermore, large expanse of concrete also increase water pollution, stormwater management costs, and also radiate solar energy into the environment, contributing to global warming. According to Parking Management 2006, Additionally, the cost associated with removing parking from the street is exorbitant and not worth it. Fixed.com states it costs approximately $8.56 million to build a 5-story parking facility. You may say that building public non-paying facilities are not necessary due to the provision of public paid parking, but the average cost for a paid parking spot averages $600 per month. In this recessional era, how can one afford such a cost on their meager salary? If the cost prevents people from directing funds towards the direct care of the family, this indirectly affects public safety. A ban on on-street parking can also have adverse effects on local businesses. Monetary requirements to provide on-street parking for all their clients and employees are exponential. The fallback being higher prices meted out to consumers, which will encourage an unfavorable business climate and in turn discourage business investments. Moreover, banning on-street parking can lead to an increase in accidents due to speeding. In the book, The Handbook of Road Safety, 2nd edition, Roon Elvitz et al. Note that, and I quote, American studies indicate that bans on on-street parking may lead to higher speeds, unquote. The number of accidents caused by speeding in Grenada is already alarming. Such a ban will only help fan the speeding flames. The structures that need to be put in place to constantly monitor parking facilities or ensure that no parking is done on the street is downright unaffordable. The RGPS states that some of the equipment needed for such monitoring are CCTV cameras with face and license plate recognition, parking meters, drones, command center with staff for 24 hours monitoring, engineers and maintainers, monitors for issuing citations, computers, and telephones. Not only will systems like those put some police officers out of work, but are way beyond our country's affordability. So, what should we do instead? 1. Increase education campaigns and sensitization of public regarding parking laws in the Highway Code regarding parking. 2. Make penalties of parking infringements more stringent. 3. Increase collaboration among traffic department and the Ministry of Works and Physical Planning to mitigate parking hazards. 4. Enforce already established traffic laws. I therefore leave with the words of Betsy Hodges. True public safety requires a collaboration between law enforcement and the community. I thank you.
During the cross-examination, one speaker from each side will take turns questioning each other about issues that are relevant to the motion.
Opponent, your first speaker gave a definition of parking. Can you please quote your source?
With the opponent, the source is the Cambridge Dictionary. With the opponent.
With the opponent, this moot is specific to Grenada. Therefore, we refute your definition and stand with our own, which came from the Grenada Road Traffic Act in 1990. Next question. How would banning parking on public roads affect disabled vehicle users?
With the opponent, while there are drawbacks, shuttles can be set up from parking lots to the places where the disabled vehicle users want to go. So this is not a problem. With everything, there can be a solution. So this is not an excuse to sacrifice the safety of Grenadian citizens in the name of convenience.
Respectfully, with the opponent, I think you have exhausted your 20 seconds. Banning on street parking will mean that disabled persons will not be able to park on street too. This ban will restrict the parking of parking places for them. A lot of parking lots will have to be set up to ensure that disabled vehicle users are not significantly inconvenienced. Banning is not the solution. Let's regulate. My next question.
That was not a question, with the opponent.
With the opponent, me to ask the question, please, thank you. How do you suggest we provide parking for all vehicles if it is banned from public roads?
With the opponent, as my second speaker clearly outlined, parking lots and parking spaces can be provided throughout the cities, throughout the rural areas, and also the building codes can be updated to stipulate that private people have space in their property to hold these vehicles when they own them. So this is not a problem, as I continue to say.
Actually, with the opponent, the RGPF, Physical Planning, Ministry of Works stated, and I quote, that it is not possible to remove parking from public roads, and plus, Grenada and whole imports 2,000 vehicles a year.
With the opponent, this is not true. My first speaker said
the opponent,
that
30... It is my turn to ask the question. Can
but
we please move on?
I have not yet answered with the opponent.
Well, the opponent already answered the question.
With the opponent, 30,000 vehicles. When the volume of vehicles in Grenada is increasing steadily, where do you want us to put our cars? In the sky?
With the opponent, we have exhausted that question. Moving on. What is the cost of providing adequate parking for all vehicles?
With the opponents, the cost, while it may be a lot, the cost can be borne by other people besides the government, private investors, which they can even benefit from that. Business people can also put in place parking for their customers to ensure that the business is thriving. So why are you making this a problem? Money is not a problem, as we have seen throughout the structural adjustment program.
Listen, please, thank you.
With the opponent, I need to
My
respond.
worthy opponent, you already finished, exhausted your 20 seconds. Worthy opponent, we've just proved to you that
With the opponent, the Highway Code of Grenada has already prohibited parking of cars in places such as at the Borough of Hills, around corners and in front of pedestrian crosses. Why do you think that they have implemented this ban?
Worthy opponent, can you please repeat?
The Highway Code has already prohibited vehicles from parking in places such as at the Borough of Hills, on corners, and in front of pedestrian crosses. Why do you think that they have implemented this ban, if it is not a safety hazard?
Worthy opponent, what are you trying to say? That what they did, they prohibited all these things because of what?
Because it is a safety hazard. It compromises the public safety in Grenada. This is why we are saying that it should be banned. With the opponent,
can you please bring across your question direct, please? Thank you.
With the opponent, your first speaker stated that parking on public roads is more convenient and saves more time. But are you valuing convenience over the safety of citizens of Grenada?
With the opponent, do you know that the direct size of a road is supposed to be 40 feet, 32 feet, 26 feet, and 20 feet? With the opponent.
So can you tell me which roads in Grenada are 46 feet and 32 feet?
That is why we are saying it is not supposed to be banned. Let's regulate so you could get to the direct size of the roads. With the opponent.
So how would you get that direct size if there is no space? The only solution is to remove the cars from being parked on the road. With the opponent. Moving on. Your first speaker stated that if we ban parking on public roads, then people would not have any place to put their car, as we lack public car parks. But since the number of Grenada's vehicles are increasing year after year, wouldn't the issue of finding alternative arrangements for parking be something that has to be dealt with in the near future?
Please repeat.
Given that the volume of vehicles in Grenada is steadily increasing, wouldn't it be something that we have to look at now as to alternative arrangements for parking of vehicles in the country?
With the opponents, the vehicles imported into Grenada. That's why we are trying to say that they should put more parking lots so that vehicles can, when vehicles
But this does not eliminate the hazard that is posed. Can you please give me my
20 seconds to answer my question?
With the opponent, this does not eliminate the hazard posed by the vehicles parked on the public road.
I have not used my 20 seconds to answer my question.
With the opponent. You said that parking on public roads reduces motor vehicle speed. Do we really need an emergency vehicle to go slow?
With the opponent, this is not direct to the mood what you are speaking about with the opponent.
The mood says that it is a hazard and should be banned. Isn't it a hazard?
With the opponent, a vehicle... With the opponent, I do not understand your question. I'm sorry.
Parking on public roads, does it not pose a hazard to the safety of Grenadian citizens?
Yes, with the opponent.
So why shouldn't it be banned?
The rebuttal speaker for the opposition is expected to pull apart the proposition's case and point out areas of weakness.
Good afternoon, all. My colleagues and I stand firm in our belief that banning parking on public roads in Grenada will cause more problems than it will solve. We ardently disagree with our opponents. Firstly, my opponent, your cross-examiner stated that parking lots and public spaces can be built. The cost can be borne by investors and business owners, and money shouldn't be a problem. But my opponent, Fixer.com, a credible website that estimates prices of car parks and so forth, states that $8.56 million is spent on building a parking lot, and an estimated price for one parking lot is $600 a month. Where will Grenada get all the money? Grenada salaries is already a meager salary, has a meager salary. Where will they get that? Secondly, my opponent, you stated that people park anywhere. The crazy thing is to park anywhere. That's how people work here. But congestion is not a problem. Congestion is just a mere inconvenience, my opponent. Let me remind you of our definition of public safety, right? Public safety refers to the welfare and protection of people. And a hazard is anything that endangers that, my opponent.
The proposition's rebuttal speaker will close the match.
Good afternoon, all. We stand unwavering in our support of the motion. Be it resolved that parking on public roads is a public safety hazard and should be banned. Our opponents claimed that the causes of accidents on the road were not due to parking, drunk driving, and slippery roads. Opponents, parking on public roads is a hazard, which means that it is likely to cause an accident, not only because of the nature of our roads, but also the increased volume of traffic. As my first speaker stated, there are no road safety programs here in Grenada. It is observed in bigger countries of the likeliness of accidents that can occur. This is no different here. Let's be proactive rather than reactive. Your first speaker stated that we should have proper regulations than banning. Opponents, we put the safety of our people first. There is no evidence to show that these regulations will eliminate the hazards that are posed. Your first speaker talked about having convenience and being able to park near shops, limiting where persons park. Opponents, should we sacrifice the safety of our people for convenience? Your second speaker stated that clearer roads equal faster drivers. So this means parking cars on public roads equals slower drivers. Opponents, we can introduce traffic cameras and speedometers. You say that this is very costly, but do we value human lives? Parked cars on roads will not slow vehicles. So are you saying that parked cars are speed bumps? Reckless drivers will always be reckless drivers. Opponents, you ask the question, if parking is banned, where would we park our vehicles? Proper facilities can be built in order to facilitate these vehicles and get them off our public roads. As my second speaker stated, cars are parked 23 hours a day, utilizing approximately 9 feet. By building parking lots, safety is increased due to less parked vehicles on the streets, less chances of accidents, and persons can be charged a toll to park, which will bring in additional revenue.
It has been my pleasure to host you. Please tune in for complete coverage of the 2017 Grenlec Debates.
The Grenlec Debates. Vote for your favorite debater on our Facebook page. The Grenlec Debates. Powering bright ideas.